Listen up! There is a storm coming! Like nothing you have ever seen!
Hello, beautiful people. How are you this very fine day? Welcome to Manham. This is where I am. I can't really show you much. I can open up the window, but it's a bit bright outside there at the moment, and you won't see too much. I am taking a few videos while we're wandering around here in Manham and other places, and I'm cutting those together, so hopefully I'll have that up for you in the next couple of days. Nice to see so many of you in. I will say g'day to a few of you. G'day, Hill Summit Homestead. Aussie Sue, God love you. Paul's in. Who else? Debs and Toxic. There you go. Now, I have no idea what time of day it is in the country where you are. Where I am, it says it's 20 to 7, so I'm about 10 minutes late. You can blame Vince Panel for that. I only mean it in the nicest possible way. He's been helping me out here. We've been sorting through a few of the challenges that have been presented with the vehicle, some electrical issues. We haven't been able to get any hot water. And a few other bits and pieces. So we think we may have figured that out, but there are some interesting electrical wiring things that we need to try and sort out. And Vince is a madman with a multimeter, can I tell you? Absolutely spectacular. He has also, actually, he's here. I'm going to, Vince, can you just chuck me the thing you made me, please? I think I may have told you folks that when we purchased this vehicle, I was surprised to learn that for a vehicle that probably cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars when it was new, it doesn't come with a cup holder at all. I mean, and it's annoying because shit bounces everywhere. Can I tell you, Vince Panel to the rescue, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Vince Panel designed cup holder. He's made a few modifications, I guess, through plastic printing. You can get designs and models, and he's made a few alterations to this one, including this little band here. Now, you might say, what's that for? Well, when you get your, and I'll try not to brand it, but you'll guess what it is. When you get your can of and you stick it in said thing, it bounces around and rattles and can bounce out and do all sorts of things. But when you put those little rubber things in there like that, and I think Vince is using one of his own hair ties for this. That's a hair tie. It puts it in and no more rattling around, and your drink stays where it is. Couple of holes in the back to screw it onto an appropriate place, and voila, we have drink holders. I bow down to your magnificent Vince. Thank you so much. So yeah, Vince is just there. You can't see him, but he's just there. He's hiding, and he's fixing my my water, and it sounds like it's working.
And it's got heat.
It's got heat. There is heat coming out, so we may even get a hot shower out of this by the end of the day. We're very excited. Good heat. Yeah, it is. I can feel it even with the door wide open. So we've had a bit of a win. Congratulations. Speaking of a win, didn't we have a good win over the weekend? I mean, wasn't that spectacular? Australia came out, I won't say in numbers, because nearly 4 million of us didn't vote. We refused to be part of the illegality, because that's exactly what it was. The referendum was illegal.
Just as a point of interest, it's about the same number that didn't vote in the federal election too.
Oh, there you go. Vince is just informing me that's about the same amount of people that didn't vote in the federal election. That doesn't make me nearly as excited. I was sort of hoping that might be an indication as to the amount of awake and active people in Australia, and I think that's a fair assumption. There will be a certain amount of awake and activeness there for you if you are in this movement, and you would maybe not go and vote. Some certainly did because they were in fear. Some have said to me and to Darren Bergworth and many others that they're going to vote this time no, because they felt it was too important. But next time, they're not going to bother. And I think, folks, in Queensland, next year, we have a great opportunity. A great opportunity to show that we have no faith in the government, no faith in the opposition, no faith in the system. If less than 50% turn out in that ballot, there is no ballot. we have to start again. They have to offer something else, or we have to offer something ourselves. So maybe that's one of the battles we're going to fight next year in the Queensland state election, because God knows we don't want Anastasia Pluckerfuck anywhere near the state anymore, or any of her cronies. And the Queensland opposition leader is about as effective as the Victorian opposition leader, neither of which I know the name of. Doesn't help. Christopher Foley, his name is actually in Queensland, I think. Only a little bloke, does speak well, but bloody politicians. And we know just how awful politicians can be. If you've already seen the show that I did earlier this morning, you'll know that I'm a little bit incensed about Canberra. Canberra has revealed itself as our enemy, folks. It has revealed itself as the enemy, as the antithesis of what we fight. Now, for a long time, we've been blaming the politicians, all of us. Well, we can't blame the politicians, because all the politicians don't live in Canberra. All right? They don't vote in Canberra. They go back to their electorates wherever they vote. In Canberra, though, 60.8% of the population that rolled out to vote, you can guarantee it was probably 100% turnout to vote, 60.8% voted yes. Now, if you remove retirees, if you remove children, those who aren't able to vote or unable, not of age, those who chose not to, and you remove anybody associated with the political system and their service industries, that probably gives you that other 38% that may have, come our way, or certainly did come our way. 40-odd% came our way. Now, 60% of Canberra voted yes. All the public servants, everybody working in the machine, voted yes. Now, what does this indicate to you? It tells me that regardless of what we say, the people, regardless of what we instruct our representatives to do, it doesn't matter. Those asshole bureaucrats control it. Everything. They're the ones who allow the lobbyists in. They're the ones that do the lobbying. Never has there been a greater example of yes minister. It wasn't a comedy series the BBC put out. It was a fucking documentary. So I want to know, who is the Sir Humphrey Appleby of the Australian government, I was going to say, but the bureaucracy? Who is the Sir Humphrey Appleby of the bureaucracy in Australia? And his cohorts. Name them. Find them. These are the people that we need to weed out. These are the people that need to be thrown from their jobs. These are the people that need to be made and held responsible for the decisions that they have been putting upon the Australian people. It's the bureaucrats. How can the Australian public expect to get anything through our parliament when the bureaucrats control it all? The bureaucrats don't change, only by retirement. They go into those jobs and they are career bureaucrats, feathering their own nest. It doesn't matter what government comes in. It doesn't matter what minister is in charge. Doesn't matter what flavour they come from. The bureaucracy is always there. Sure, a minister might throw a little curly one up now and again, like you'd see in Yes Minister or Yes Prime Minister. But the bureaucracy always had a way of dealing with it. Well, it's got to end. How can the Australian people trust anything in Canberra? How can we trust any of our representatives in Canberra who clearly cannot stand up to these bureaucrats? We didn't elect you, you faceless morons. You hide. Timid, weak bastards who hide behind a pen. You're going to need something a bit bigger to hide behind. You will be held responsible. It's clear, people. Canberra isn't for the people. Canberra is a foreign state. Canberra is run by foreign-owned operatives. That's clear. The only place in Australia with an overwhelming yes majority vote was Canberra. And the only place in the country that has less tribal people in it, well, probably Tasmania, because they killed them all. The bureaucracy has to go. The bureaucracy has to go. It has to be made responsible. Those bastards that run it need to be brought in front of the people and made explain their decisions, made explain their advice. This can't go on. It simply can't go on. We cannot have a country like this where the people say one thing, vote for one thing, work for one thing, and some faceless prick in Canberra puts a line through it and gives the money to the WEF or the WHO or any other shit stinking party that's all part of their rigged little social system. It's got to end. So how do we end it? That's what I need you to start thinking about. There's no point going back to Canberra and complaining. Right? The parliamentarians can't do anything. They are weak, useless bastards who are rough-ridden over by the bureaucracy every day. They acquiesce to the bureaucracy every day. They lie to us. They make excuses for the bureaucracy every day. Occasionally, the bureaucracy is brought before them on Senate estimates. And what do we see there? Bullshit, pantomime, lies. That's all we see. Bullshit, pantomime, and lies. These bureaucrats need to be brought out publicly, shown publicly, made to explain themselves, how they operate, the decisions they choose to push, and explain why it is that when the people come with a genuine problem, or indeed a genuine solution to a problem, these bureaucrats stop it. Got to stop. We cannot have a country run by bureaucrats, people. The people are not in charge. The rats are in charge. Nameless faces, unelected fucktards who wield a great amount of power. But that power is only there if we give it to them. If we remove that power from them, if we withdraw our support for them, and we demand action from them, they will have to give it. Canberra is just a festering shithole. I know we've all known it for years, but this vote result explains it to us. It shows it in stark reality. Over 60% of those people in Canberra, and you consider them, they're the working ones, in the government system, in the bureaucracy, or in the service of that bureaucracy. How out of touch are the people in Canberra with the rest of the country? Without exception, any other state or territory, Canberra is completely removed from the rest of Australia. The people that work in Canberra have no idea, no feeling for, no understanding of what we, the people, are talking about out here. And they don't give a shit. What can they do? What are the people going to do? Come to Canberra and wave their flags around for another weekend? What can we do? What can we do? Because it's clear we can't let it stay this way. You'll be locked up in your 15-minute cities in 3 days, 10 days, certainly within 2 years. That's what the bureaucrats want. The bureaucrats are working for the WEF. The bureaucrats are working for the UN. The bureaucrats are working for the WHO. They certainly aren't working for the Australian people. They need to be held responsible. Where's our military? Where is our military? We need you. You are following unlawful orders. And I get the feeling that some of your masters, some of your officers in the military are just fucking bureaucrats as well. In fact, I know it's the case because I know many of them. Where is our military going to be in this? They need to support the people, or they need to show themselves as the UN plant they might be. We need the military. We can't expect the police to stand up to them. The police are gone. The police have been captured in every state. Has the military been captured? That's the question. Has the military been captured? We can't trust the police. We can't believe in the police. The police have been working for the UN and the WEF now for years. They are a foreign-owned military force on our land. Where is our military? Why aren't you protecting the people? Why aren't you quietly behind the scenes telling the bureaucrats, telling the politicians, the people have had enough? You do not offer a solution with your system. The current political system is bribery, crime, and shit. He who pays gets to play. It doesn't matter if your good idea is one of the best ideas that will help Australians or help the world. Like an H2 unit that will, halve your fuel bill. Doesn't matter. Suppress it. Doesn't work for us. Not for the UN. Not for the WEF. Not for the fucking bureaucracy in Canberra. Put them on notice, people. Put them on notice. Right to the head of Centrelink, that bald-headed prick. I've forgotten his name. Put him on notice. Right to the head of the public service. Put him or her on notice. Right to the department heads of every government department and put them on notice. Make sure you email your local politician, your local federal representative, and call them out for the gutless bastards they are for not standing up to bureaucracy. Tell them, we've seen it now. We know. We will not elect weak representatives who will be rode roughshod over by the bureaucracy. Christ, elect me. Put me in there. Let me talk to a bureaucrat. They have to go. Well, they can't go. We need a bureaucracy. We need the paper pushers. We need the administration. But that's what they do. They work for us. They do not make policy. And more particularly, they do not block it. The bureaucracy is our enemy, folks. They are the deep state. They are age-old in Canberra and never change. Their succession line is hidden from us all by design. The faceless, nameless bureaucracy. You know, when you ring Canberra and you talk to somebody about a governmental thing, the person you're talking to doesn't even have to give you their name. Doesn't even have to give you their right name. So nobody can be held accountable for the advice they give you. How many times have you been screwed over with Telstra? Is just my example. Some numpty says, oh, yes, we can fix that. That'll all be very good. We'll do that. We'll do that. 3 days later, it's all still screwed up. You ring again. You find another Gupta who comes on and says, oh, yes, somebody didn't. Oh, no, they shouldn't have done that. We could do it this way. 7 months it took me to figure out the bureaucracy of Telstra. I figured it out eventually. I threatened the living shit out of the bastards, and they figured it out. But I pointed out in minute detail how they were failing me as a customer, how they were acting criminally, and that I was going to make them pay for it. Well, that made its way up their bureaucratic ladder pretty quickly and sorted my problem out. But every other problem got to do the same thing. It's almost like the bureaucracy has laid a path of misdirection, bullshit, and bastardry for every person who rings in with a complaint or a question. And that's exactly what they've done. Canberra has bared itself to the nation over the weekend. Nearly 61% of Canberra, the highest vote in the country by a mile, by over double, voted yes. What is the percentage of tribal people that live in the ATC? 0.5%, maybe. I should have actually called Auntie Glenda. She'd probably be able to tell me, being from Ngunnawal country. But how can we allow this to keep going, folks? And how can we allow our politicians to make excuses for them? Malcolm Roberts, Rennick, Antic. The enemy is exposed. What are you going to do about it? What can we help you with? How can we help you? How can you help us? That's probably the better question. The freedom movement is rolling on. And while at the moment there are many, many different avenues in the movement is going in one direction. Many fingers all pointing in the same direction. That direction indicates that the current political system is dead. It cannot work. It has been bribed, beaten, bludgeoned, raped, pillaged, along with the people, for 200 years. Well, you know what I mean. It has to stop. It has to end. We don't need common law. We don't need Magna Carta. We don't need a new constitution. What we need are people prepared to do something about it, to stand up, to make these people accountable. Now, that would be better done if it was a politician making these people accountable. Because while I do not advocate violence in any way, shape, or form, I got to tell you, this is a pretty emotional matter. The bureaucracy has exposed itself for what it is, a foreign-owned operation. They're not with the Australian people in any way. So what do we do about it? There have been suggestions put forward to me after this morning's show. I'm not going to talk about them. Whatever we do, we have to do quietly initially. We can't telegraph the punch. There's no point in telegraphing the punch. These people have been punched in the head so often, they see the telegraphing a mile away. And they protect themselves. They cover up really well. What we need to do is keep our best punch hidden, like Tim Zhu, and then just clean the bastards up with it. But what is that punch? What is that action? How do we do that without bloodshed? Because that is paramount. No bloodshed. But clearly, if you feel the same way I do, then the people have lost faith in the government's ability to govern. That comes from the government down, from the weak people that we have elected to represent us. all the way down, because those people aren't standing up for the people. They are allowing themselves to either be incorporated into the bureaucracy, to be swept along with the bribe, to be swept along with the one world government solution, or they've resigned themselves to be sitting in the back of the House until their term is up. I see Babbitt is going to quit at the end of this term. So I don't know how the UAP are going to feel about that. Babbitt was, the only person that they had in the parliament, and he's sick and tired of it. He's seen it from the inside, wants no more of it. What does that say to you? He's going back to selling multi-million-dollar houses in Melbourne. Good luck to him. He's clearly figured out that being in Canberra isn't going to make any difference. Why? I think he's discovered the fucking bureaucrats. And he's prepared to talk about it. So I will put in a call to Senator Babbitt, see whether or not he'll come on and have a chat and explain to me why he might want to leave. I'd like to talk about the bureaucrats and his experience with them. Same with Gerard Rennick. I've made the offer to him today through mutual contacts that he is welcome on this show anytime. But we need to start talking about a new solution, not the political solution he thinks is the solution, because it's not. There is no solution with the bureaucracy. We've got to clean it out from the top down, restaff it with people that care. Too many people have let their feelings, I beg your pardon, too many bureaucrats, senior bureaucrats, have let their feelings of their underlings get in the way. Bureaucrats seem to work on feeling, words. Well, I hope they understand the words that I've been saying about them. I hope it's clear. If not, I'll come to Canberra and tell you myself. We'll pull up right in the front of Parliament House with a radio station and I'll tell all of Canberra for you. There's no point in me just turning up. And we're not going to turn up. Or at least I'm not going to turn up for any kind of a protest. There's no point in protesting. No point. The bureaucrats run it all. The politicians will say, oh, yes, we agree. Awful things, bad things. We'll go away and work on it. And while they're going away working on it, the only people that get access to them are the fucking bureaucrats. The lobbyists. And only the lobbyists that are pushing what the bureaucrats want pushed. Any other lobbyist won't get a go. You won't get in. It's clear now. Canberra is the enemy of Australia. Oh, it gives me no pleasure to announce that. None. I'm horrified by it. Horrified. But it's clear. It's all it can be. It's laid out in stark reality for every one of us to look at and acknowledge. It is hard to argue against. So what are we going to do about it? That's the question. What are we going to do about it? Very keen to hear your ideas. Send them through, carl@vofhq.com. Very keen to hear those ideas. Yes, Donovan, central banks. Yep, they do play a large role, but the central banks, if we believe most of the things that are going on at the moment, the central banks have no money anymore, and they're about to be asked to come pulling in their debt, which is going to be very hard. There isn't enough paper money in the world. So you will find that the central banks will crumble. Or they will morph into something else that isn't controlled by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all that sort of stuff. Anthony, as God said, Earth will be returned to man. I do trust in that every minute of the day. Thank you too. Hit the like button, folks. We are so suppressed on this friggin' channel these days. Rumble is still rumbling along quite nicely, although when I do lives off the phone, it doesn't go to Rumble. So I do apologise to the Rumble viewers who might have missed a couple of things. Go over to None2K or the Voice of Freedom on YouTube. You will see those chats have been up. Last couple of days, I did a little one this morning, which I think went out everywhere from memory. Sorry, now, Hill Summit's got something good. When the Berlin Will Fall police changed their party membership badges, and so too did their pushers. Same thing will happen here. Every second family has at least one government employee or friend. Yes, I agree. We just have to start that tidal wave. And it has to start. It has to start. If you have a bureaucrat in your family, you need to talk to them about this. And if they want to tell the story of, well, I've got to go along with it because otherwise I keep my job, then I want to hear about it. They're not the right person in that job if they're acquiescing to things that they know and feel in their heart are against God's law and against the best things for us, the people. They're the people that need to come out and start telling us how the bureaucracy works, how they screw us every step. I'm very keen to talk to any of you whistleblowers in the bureaucracy. Love to hear from you. I think we've even got a website for that, don't we, Vince? Or an email address?
What?
Blow my whistle or something like that.
So, yeah,
It's not up. We'll figure one out.
Post it in the YouTube chat when I get home.
Oh, there you go. He'll post it in the YouTube chat when he gets home. That's why Vince isn't in the chat tonight. He's here chatting with me. He's actually doing marvellous things. We've had the heater going. Do we have hot water?
Yep.
Oh, God, we have hot water. The only thing we don't have is a cold fridge. But that may change as well.
I'll put it on gas. Let's see if it works.
So there you go. Now we've got it on gas. We'll see. Maybe that'll work. So anyway, it's been an interesting day here. I've got to tell you, folks, Mannum, if you haven't been to Mannum, come to Mannum for a holiday.
No terrorists, thanks.
No terrorists,
no
though.
terrorists.
No, there's a big river, though. We could baptise a few. Great river. River crossing, too, if you like ferries. You put your car on the ferry and come across. It's very cool. Beautiful architecture in the town, very old. And it's quite clear, I think, Mannum was probably, along with most of the cities along the Murray and small towns along the Murray, was a grain town. I think a lot of wheat, a lot of grain came out of the land around here, and they had to get it to the market or to other places. So could have been wool too, all that sort of stuff. But this looks to me like it was a trading town. Some of the architecture certainly suggests it's been here for a couple of 100 years and, 150 years. Some stuff here has been here a couple of 100 years for sure, since 1880 or thereabouts. So, a lovely, beautiful town, quite historic, beautiful, clean, and meals at the Mannum Community Club. We went for a meal there last night, Vince and I. I'm a bit of a burger connoisseur, so I tried the local burger. Spectacular, wonderful. Vince had a chicken schnitzel that was as big as his plate, and he ate it all, pig. Sorry. Huge feed, beautiful feed, and there is a pretty good barman working behind the bar there. His name's James. Tell him I said hi. Pop into Mannum if you are going on holidays. And if you do actually need some computer repairs or anything on the way past, I happen to know a bloke might be able to help you out for a few bucks. He does have a business and a family to keep, so let's look after him. Having a bit of a look through your comments, folks. You're right there. The system is in an infinite loop, and we have to break that loop. We are on the outside of the loop. Do you understand that, folks? We aren't in the loop. We are on the outside of the loop. The loop just does what it does, and like a whirlpool, we follow it around. We have to break the loop. Okay? The bureaucratic loop. It has to go. Our politicians have to stand up. No. They're not going to. Our politicians have to go. All of them. They're weak. They let us get into this position. It's weak politicians that were stood over and allowed, pressured, bribed, whatever. Weak politicians allowed the bureaucracy to get the power it has. And now we see that power is supreme. The Australian people can get nothing done while there is a bureaucracy in Canberra surrounding our elected representatives. We have to do something about it. I'm very keen to find out your thoughts on what. So I'm going to get going shortly because Vince and I owe Vince a meal. He's been working very, very hard today, so I'm going to take him out for dinner. So we might head back to the Madam Community Club for another good feed. But I want you to put your heads down, folks, and have a good think about what we can do. Because it's clear now who the enemy is. The politicians are part of that, but the bureaucracy, the 61% of them in Canberra are the enemy. So we need to figure out what we can do. I have something of a suggestion that we've sort of been mulling over for the last couple of days, but I'm not prepared to put that out there yet. My original suggestion was get the bastards out on the road in front of the dickheads. Clean them up that way.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!